Hey friends, it's Camilla. Good to see you guys. Hey, the stories you tell yourself don't matter. Or do they? Well, I remember before I ever learned about transcend the limits of your mind, I didn't really know the power of my thoughts and this power of my stories, the stories that I was telling myself over and over and over. And the reason why I asked you guys this question on Monday was to have you start kind of thinking about the thoughts and the stories that you're telling yourself. Because remember at Transcend Your Future, I talked about having 5 senses, but we have a 6th sense. And I know out in the self-development world, this is talked about a lot, but I want you to think of something different and have a new perspective on this. So back when, it's been about almost 5 years before I've learned how to transcend the limits of my mind. And if I were to go back then, before I even knew the tools that I have, and before I knew how to really reprogram my unconscious mind, I remember thinking that self-talk was mumbo jumbo. The thing is that self-talk is actually one of the most important things to keep in mind and to really pay attention to, because words, the linguistic words and language that you use inside your head can really actually manifest those things outside your world. And so it's really important to pay attention to the stories that you're telling yourself. Also, I didn't even know that I really told myself stories, or at least I wasn't really conscious and aware of the stories that I would tell myself. I just kind of thought, like I said, I thought it was mumbo jumbo. So I didn't really think about it much or about stories. But it's really important. I also had the belief that, God is the only one that knows the stories that I'm telling myself. And I was the only one, so only 2 people really knew. So why does it really matter? Now my belief is, what if you could actually, not what if, but now I can actually change those stories by reprogramming them. So have you ever had a story that will just keep coming and keep surfacing the same story over and over and over again? Well, that's because your unconscious mind is wanting you to deal with it. Well, when you learn how to reprogram your unconscious mind, you can actually go to the root of where those stories are coming from and be able to change those stories in an unconscious level, therefore never surfacing and telling the story ever again to your unconscious mind. A very different way of thinking. So ask yourself, is this story empowering me or is it disempowering me? And then ask yourself, how old was I when I first told this story to myself? And you may be surprised that it could be between the ages of 0 and 7. If it's after the age of 7, it's very likely that there's something that's very unconscious that's sooner than 8 years old. So 8 years old is usually when we start remembering things and when we become more aware of ourselves. Before then, we have no awareness of ourselves. So I don't know if you remember like the iceberg. If you haven't watched my webinar, I talk about the iceberg and how those deep, deep beliefs are rooted so deeply and they're very unconscious. How could you even remember those unconscious things, especially if it's something that affected you in the womb or at birth or even before this life? And yes, you can tap into those memories. So what if knowing how these stories in your mind could actually be a metaphor of something in your life or in your business? What if you could take those metaphors and produce results in your life? what if you saw every story you told yourself as a metaphor? And what if you could actually reprogram the stories that you're telling yourself and create a much brighter and compelling future for yourself? How would that change your life? So start paying attention, because stories do matter. They really do. So I hope you like this. Drop some stories that you've been telling yourself in the comments, and I can do a video about this and the stories, and help you kind of reprogram and retell those stories in a way that's going to really help you. If you're watching this on replay, do #replay, and I'll come back and interact with you. So have a really great day. I hope this helps you. Let me know if you have any questions. Put them in the comments. We'll see you soon.